Hello, people. This is JD. Today you can see me in a yellow t-shirt. I got khaki pants on. Why? Everyday dress, not a turtleneck and a nice jacket. Because I'm going to talk about two things that involve you and me as common everyday people. One of them involves our tax system, and the other one involves JD. Now, let's talk about JD first. You know, after the election, some young girl got on one of the national news networks, and they asked her about JD, because JD got so many write-in votes in 2008. And she said, "Oh, I made him up. I didn't think he was going to catch on. It was just a joke." And it kind of upset me that someone would do that for no reason. Later on, I found out why and how come it was done. Very typical of United States politics. Trying to divert the American people's attention from something. Well, that's not the case with JD. August 11th, 2008, the Virginia Pilot, local newspaper, has a nice article about me in there. And you will see it referred to me several times as JD, long before she thought it up. But that's still in the same year. And I said JD's a lot older than that. You'll see on some of my statements that JD is as old as ICQ and MSN chat. And I think AOL had a chat then too. There was a third chat. I don't remember what it was. But nobody can use JD because I did. My sign in on all of them were JD. That's quite a long time ago. Only problem you don't see it no more is I don't remember the passwords. I still have kmjdc at AOL.com, but I don't know a password at ICQ. And I don't remember my password at MSN Chat. I don't even go on MSN Chat. You remember the one with the cartoon characters you used to be able to pick? Well, they're very confusing. And then there's the other chat I was on. But JD's older than that. Still quite a bit older than that. Actually, JD, my name, was originally a pickup line. Yes, it was a pickup line. You ladies can hear this out, and you'll chuckle, and you'll agree. You guys will say, huh? When my first wife left me in July of 1985, and I realized that our marriage was dead, which had been dead really for a long time. She didn't want to be married, and unless two people work at it together, it doesn't matter, it'll never work out. So I had to go out in the dating market, dating field, dating game, whatever you want to call it. And in 1985, it was the club scene. So I'd go to the clubs. Now, you all know you only get your first meeting to really impress the other person. In my case, I was interested in women and not anything else. Sorry, guys, I'm lesbian. That's the way it is. I'm only into women. For you women who are gay, don't take it to offense. I actually said that to a lesbian young woman. And we ended up dating for about a week and a half before I had to leave. And we had a great time going to club to club. But then I was James. Or Jim. But now to become JD. Well, in a club, you need a line to impress. Well, I started going by my initials, JD, James Dennis, JD. I found out it worked quite well because most of the time when I would go up and talk to a girl, I was either carrying a glass of orange juice or a glass of cranberry juice. I didn't drink any soda as it was at the club because I drank enough of it because I didn't drink water. Still don't. So I would go up and, to a young lady that I thought that was interesting, that seemed to be there either with her friends, which were a bunch of girls, but never one with a guy because I figured they're a couple. And I would introduce to myself as JD. Now, what happened 99.9 something percent of the time, I would ask the girl her name and she would respond. Let's just say Karen for first instance. She would respond Karen. And she would then say to me, "What's yours?" And I'd say, JD. She'd look at my glass and say, "Oh, is that for Jack Daniels?" And I'd chuckle a little bit. And then I'd say, "No, I don't drink." And then she'd say, "Well, what's in that glass?" And I'd say either orange juice, it was orange juice, or cranberry juice. And I'd offer her a chance to taste it. She'd taste it most of the time and say, "There is nothing in it but orange juice or cranberry juice." She said, "Yes, I don't drink," and laughed a little bit. Well, that done several things. It got her interested in me, showed her I had a sense of humor, because I chuckled when she said Jack Daniels and stuff, and it showed her I didn't actually drink. All that just from going from Jim to JD. So actually, it gave me the time to impress the young lady, and to me today, everybody's a young lady, and that's where JD came from. But I was only being called JD at the club. Everybody at the club knew me as JD. Well, one time I went there, some of the people I worked with was at the club, and they were hearing all the girls or ladies call me JD. And they seen me dancing all night long. I didn't even know they were in the background. And I was dancing with all these different girls, just dancing and having a good time. That's all I did. And they were JD, and they'd hear one yell, "JD, I got the next dance," or "JD this," or "JD that." No big deal. Went to work, and all of a sudden, my fellow workers started calling me JD. And that's how JD got started in 1985. 2008, I decided there was nobody worth voting for. So I started campaigning. And I told people, because the states have an unfair prejudice national presidential election against everybody except for the Republican and Democrat Party. Every state I tried to register and get on the ballot, I could not because they had closed registration. And this was like in June, and they let the Democrat and Republicans after that register their candidate to be on the ballot. So I was a write-in. So I was telling everybody, write JD, just JD. And that's how JD got all those votes. That's how JD became the spoiler. That's how the cover-up of JD began. But people, JD is, was, and shall be real. And in 2016, with your help, if we get started now, we will do several things. One, get me on the ballot in every state. Two, once I'm elected, fix this problem so no state can ever again hinder individual people who would make great presidents from becoming presidents because they are not either a Republican Party candidate or a Democrat Party candidate. I can't tell you about the others. If you think I'm wrong, check last election. Ron Paul sued because he could not get on the ballot, and people who were of the political parties could. But we can't fix these problems if we don't do it together. I can't give you back your country that has been stolen by the political parties unless we stand up against them together. So now you know the story about JD. He is real. He did come in third. You are looking at him right now. I got a newspaper article in August where I am mentioned several times as JD. I'm mentioned as Criveau, JD Criveau, James, and JD. It's all in there. He just didn't put James Dennis Criveau. So people, now you know where JD comes from. It is actually a pickup line that I started using in August of 1985. Then it became my name. And since then, it has been my name. And everybody who knows me calls me JD, other than my wife, who calls me James. Now let's talk about taxes. I believe with what had happened and what's going on with the IRS, it has totally lost any form of credibility it may have had. It has showed itself to be a very, very corrupt organization. And that much power should not belong to any one organization. Period. The IRS needs to be an Internal Revenue Service monitoring what our government is spending money on instead of how to strong arm you, the American people, in paying your taxes. Especially when the rich people seem to, not quite right. Now, problem with taxes is the way it's paid. They take it out of your pay so that it's in little groups. And then at the end of the year, if you pay too much, they give you some back. But a lot of people don't pay too much. And I've seen the IRS through deaths in the family wipe out family fortunes. Get it all because of repeated deaths. So, and I see people who don't pay any taxes that should be paying taxes. Most of them are called illegal aliens, but there are others. And other things. So bottom line, what should we, the people, do? We can't eliminate taxes. Anyone who says, stop taxes, totally. Come on, let's be real. Do you like driving on roads that aren't full of just a path cars go through? Do you like driving your car at 70 miles an hour on an interstate, getting to where you want to go? Well, that has to be paid for. So, what can we do? Do you like the regulation? Do you like the way the country's set up? As far as what you live, not the way the government is corrupt, the way the government is wasteful. If you like your standard of living and would like to improve it, then you're going to have to pay taxes. That's part of a growing society, not a decaying society. And if we're not careful, our society will become decaying. But if we constantly change to improve ourselves, we grow. So what should we do? Well, we should make a tax that is completely fair. Now, the Democrats argue, well, a lot of people depend on that tax return at the end of the year to lower income. Yes, they do. But they would be much happier getting 4 or 3 of those tax returns a year than getting 1. Now, I contend, look at the way everything goes. The IRS says, and Congress says, that if we had a sales tax, it would be like 18%. No. The reason I say no is because there are so many people not paying any taxes whatsoever on anything. I'll give you one large group. Illegal aliens. Do they pay income tax? No. Do they pay state income tax? No. Do they pay unemployment tax? No. Do they pay Medicare tax? No. Do they pay Medicaid tax? No. But they use all the benefits. Am I correct? Yes. That's just one group. I could go and do some more, I get a lot more groups. So, what can we do? We can fix this problem. Go to a sales tax. If everybody in this nation, when they're in this nation, pays sales tax, it won't have to be at 18. Might be 10%, might be 11, might even be as high as 12, but I don't think any higher than that. Income tax should be gone. The IRS has proven themselves to be not worthy to have the authority that they have. Think about what they did. How much of a tape did Nixon erase that caused him to get impeached as a president? Almost impeached, caused him to resign. 11 minutes, 13 minutes, something like that. Yet, the people at the IRS lost months of emails. Think about that for a few minutes. The corruption has creeped into our government at such a level that it needs to be corrected. Sales tax is part of the answer. How does sales tax work? Everybody in this country, whenever they buy anything, they pay a sales tax on everything. Now, the rich will pay more than the poor. Because someone like me, I'll buy a car at $30,000 or less. Whereas someone who has millions of dollars will buy a $100,000, $200,000 car. Now, 10% sales tax, $30,000 would be $3,000. 10% sales tax on $100,000 is $10,000. See the difference? Now, every quarter or every third of the year, there is something that should be taxed. And that will be set the same amount to everybody, whether you're poor or whether you're rich. Let's say it's like $1,200. Well, to people at the lower income level, that'll be a lot of money. And to the people who do millions of dollars a day, that won't even pay for their lunch. But they all get the same amount. But everybody is entitled to it. That pays sales tax. So even the illegal aliens will be paying the sales tax they're entitled to. And if they let us know who they are, we could go and give them their check. And if they are here illegally, we'll buy them a plane ticket and send them home. And that is what a sales tax is. Straight across the board. No loopholes, no ands, no ifs, no buts. And then the IRS, they could start being an Internal Revenue Service that monitors the federal government and ensures that your tax money is well spent and not strong-arming you and at many times being wrong at how they do it. That's something we need to look at very seriously. But I can't do that alone either. But we, the people, can. We need to realize there's a lot of corruption within the political parties and the government. It's there. You can't deny it. But it needs to be fixed. And it's kind of hard for something or somebody to fix something they do not see or do not want to see. So this is JD telling you where JD came from, how old my name as JD is, how long JD has existed, and taxes on the average American person. So if someone says to you JD's not real, say JD's been real since July of 1985 and shall always be real to the day he dies. And thank you. You all have a nice day. And just remember, we, you and me, the people, can do the job that's needed. And understand, above all else, the people in the United States of America are not the servants of the government, but the government of the United States of America is the servant of the people and no others, which includes the political parties, the United Nations, New World Order, or anything else. The only function of the federal government is to serve the people and to maintain the promises that's given to you in the preamble of the Constitution. Thank you. This is JD. Have a nice day.